video, so make sure that your audio and video is working, and for us to take roll call. And then we're going to proceed with closed session, and we'll come back to open session to take the items one at a time. Um, as you know, we're required to start the meeting with open session and roll call. So with that, City Clerk, can you take roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Bredefeld,
Here.
Councilmember Chavez,
Here.
Councilmember Esparza,
Present.
Councilmember Karbasi,
Here.
Councilmember Soria, Council Vice President Capriello is here, and President Arias.
Here. And for the public's understanding, we're going to go into closed session to discuss item A, ID 20001066, a conference with legal counsel on public security under Government Code 54957, subparagraph A. With that, we'll go to closed session. There's no action that we anticipate reporting out, but if there is, we will do so when we reconvene in public session. So you should be getting a request to go into the closed session room, and we'll see you there. Hey, council, I think we're back into open session, primarily because there's about 30 plus participants, including 23 attendees. I will open it up, council, for public input first before we discuss the items. And then we're going to go into each item with the item C being heard last if it's heard today, to ensure that Councilmember Chavez can recuse himself from any potential conflict. So with that, we'll go to the public. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address the council on the items listed on the agenda? And that is item A, B, C, D. And for the record, we have been notified by PG&E that downtown Fresno may lose power at 5 o'clock. So you will have 30 seconds to address the council to allow enough public input and council discussion before we potentially have to experience a blackout during the council meeting. Ivanka, you are being unmuted. You have 30 seconds to address the council.
Okay, in 30 seconds, I just want to say, please focus on minimizing the delays between the time the funding is granted by the city and the time that it reaches the hands of those who desperately need it. And please make sure that you do your part like we are in the nonprofits of trying to get the outreach and the awareness of all these programs out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person will be Lisa Flores. You have 30 seconds starting now.
I'm sorry. Just to remind you, just to spend more money on housing so we do not have an ever, so we can lessen the impact on the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is Tyler. You have 30 seconds starting now to address the council.
Thank you. I'm Tyler Mackey, the Executive Director of the Tower District Marketing Committee. I want to thank the council members for the efforts that they've already done to help relieve our business district, and just ask that you continue to make investments in the businesses. It's really working, it's helping, and we appreciate all you're doing and want to continue to support you and ask to continue it.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to bring it back to the council. We will begin with item A as an apple. I'd like to make a motion to approve the item, but omitting paragraph 6 concerning code enforcement and paragraph A as well, related to the audits that will come back to the council at the August 27th meeting, once the mayor, administration, and the council and legal and finance can work out some last minute guidance from the federal government. So that is a motion to approve with the omission of paragraph 6 and A. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been seconded. Is there any questions, or would you like to do roll call? All right,
I have a question.
go ahead. Council Vice President, you have a question?
So the motion is for item A only at this moment.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
You're
City
muted,
Clerk?
clerk.
You're muted, City Clerk.
All right,
Again,
Councilmember Brett.
apologize for the speedy process, but we're trying to get through before the blackout.
Okay, Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilmember Esparza,
Aye.
Councilmember Carvasi,
Aye.
Councilmember Soria,
Aye.
Vice President Caprielio,
Yes.
and President Arias.
Yes.
7-0.
Item B, the motion to agree to a series of contracts related to the food and food relief efforts in the city of Fresno related to COVID-19. I'll consider motion to approve.
So moved.
Member Chavez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Soria.
Councilmember, just the caveat, remember, we were
Yeah.
gonna make an amendment, just to
Please.
make sure that the agreement would include up to the amounts that are being set forth by this item.
Member Soria, can you be specific on your motion and the amendment to the motion?
So I want to amend, so that each agreement that includes the amount, it would say up to the amounts that are being appropriated today. So if that could be clarified in the agreement,
And would that include also payments in the form of installments?
yes.
Okay, with that, there's a motion and a second to approve with the amendment that the authority is to spend up to the amount identified and that the distribution be in installments. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bredefeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Council President,
I'm sorry, Council Vice President, we didn't hear you. Go ahead. You have the floor. We'll pause the voting until you speak.
I appreciate that. Let me just say this. I appreciate the committee that's put this package together. It was received or sent out on Friday, and we're asked to vote on it today. And I've said to numerous people that I'm not prepared to do that because I haven't had enough time to fully evaluate these proposals. A is pretty generic, so that's supportable. But B, C, and D are difficult for me for the following reasons. That the committee process is to evaluate and make recommendations subject to the council's review. And our review has potential modifications and all that prior to putting together the committee's exclusive recommendation. We haven't had that sort of vetting. So now we're asked to engage in binding contractual obligations without full transparency, in my view, just my view, and that the entire council can provide input on this. So with that, I appreciate your work, but there just isn't enough time for me to properly evaluate, understand. Maybe it's my legal training, maybe it's many, many years of lawyering, but that's the problem I have with this. Now, specifically on item B, I don't know who else qualifies, who else tried to qualify, why they're not included, what other organizations are, quote, worthwhile and have the high quality standards to be part of this. Everyone here, have they had an opportunity to participate? And if not, we need to expand so everyone who can bring quality information and performance to the table has that opportunity. None of that's in there. And I might add on items B, C, and D, these comments apply to each level, and I won't go through them again on each item. However, when people in District 4 call me and say, what benefit did you get for District 4 by supporting multi-million dollars worth of proposals, and not a single word was mentioned about how it directly impacts District 4 or 2 or 6, it definitely impacts those that are on the committee. You can see where most of it lands in their areas, which is great. That's what we're here for. We advocate for our district. So with that in mind, I cannot support item B. Thank you.
Councilmember Butterfield, you have the floor.
Yeah, I want to, express my support for Vice President Capriolo's point of view. I agree that there needs to be more vetting, and getting information Friday versus and voting on a Monday is obviously not ideal. But I understand that there's a time frame involved in this, and there are people who need some of these dollars now. I've reviewed all of the organizations that are in B, as well as C and D. I don't agree with all that are in C, I can tell you that, and I have very strong feelings about one of the organizations, which I'll talk about. but I've gone through all of these organizations. And so while I share Council Members Capriolo's point of view, absolutely, I think there's a time factor in here. And for that reason, I'm willing to support it and move forward today.
Thank you. All right, council. With that, just for the record, I live downtown, so if there's a blackout and I have no internet, I am offline, and you guys will have to figure out how to count to 5 without me. So with that, there's a motion. It's been by Member Chavez, second by Member Sawyer. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bredefeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilmember Esparza,
Aye.
Councilmember Karbasi,
Yes.
Councilmember Soria,
Yes.
Council Vice President Capriello,
No.
and President Arias.
Yes. All right, next item is item C, 3 agreements.
Council President,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to recuse myself. Are we continuing this or are we voting on it?
Actually, Councilmember, let me get to Councilmember to item D, and then we'll get to yours last. I should have done that.
All right.
Let's go with item D, a series of contracts to expand the Save Our Small Business program, sponsored by Councilmember Karbasi, to add an additional $2 million to that small business relief program. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any amendments to the contracts you guys would like us to include? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Council President,
Yes.
if I would propose an amendment that those that have previously asked for PPP funding and even received it be eligible to apply for this funding. And the reason for that is in walking my district and talking to my businesses, some took PP funds but didn't realize this could be another source of funding because their overhead, workers' comp, payroll, insurance goes forward, and every little penny counts to them as well as to those that have not asked for or received PPP. I've talked to the city attorney. He advises me that we can change the guidelines to open it up to all businesses. And from there, the process will select who qualifies and who does not. I support this if, in fact, we could amend it to open it up to the guidelines for all businesses. With that, I
Councilmember,
can-
Vice President Capriolio, my hesitation there is that today we're appropriating the money. The Small Business Committee, which is Councilmember Karbasi, Soria, and I, are considering recommendations from staff to make adjustments. That is one of them. But I would just ask the council to consider all the changes to the criteria at once when we bring it back on August 27th versus today when we're just allocating the money.
Well, if you can do that one adjustment to allow that, I can support this because I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I have a vote today that's important. And the businesses in District 4 are counting on me to make sure the funding is available. No one says they get it, but at least they have the opportunity to apply for it.
Karbasi, you have the floor.
Once again, is okay. Once again, Council Vice President, you make a very, very good point. I think today, and correct me, Mr. President, we are just voting on moving the funding.
Yes.
The actual terms, which include the very good point you made today, are going to be discussed at a future meeting, including input from our Economic Development Director.
Yes, August
And
27th.
I can tell you myself, I'm going to reconsider my position on barring people that have already had PPP money out of respect for you. So when that comes forward, we're going to have an opportunity to negotiate that point. If that's, I hope that makes you comfortable enough. If it doesn't, what do we need to do? Because we're not approving the provisions yet. That's going to change in the future. What do we need to do today to allow you to do the due diligence you should be doing?
Well, Member Karbasi, that's your words have wisdom, and if you're assuring me that we will have the opportunity to include all businesses in all districts that meet the criteria for these CARES Act monies, I can support this particular item. So do I have that assurance? I think you gave it to me, but I just want to make sure. And then the other council, and I would like to hear that from the other council members on the committee.
That's what I was going to say. You have it from me, but I'll leave it to my colleagues to comment on that.
Can we
I'm good
consider
with
that? Okay.
I'm open to conversation when we bring all the criteria at once.
I'm also open to you making a motion and seconding it, but it's up to you.
All right, there's a motion. It's a second. to approve it. If there's no more debate, can we do roll call?
Councilmember Bredefeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Chavez,
Yes.
Councilmember Esparza,
Aye.
Councilmember Kabasi,
Yes.
Councilmember Soria,
Yes.
Vice President Caprielio,
Yes.
President Arias.
Yes. With that,
Thank you,
council
guys.
brings us to item C. Councilmember Chavez is recused for the record, so you're off the hook. We have 3 minutes before the outage. I would like to ask the council to accept the motion to table this item and move it to the Thursday agenda for this week, which would be Thursday, August 20th. That would make sure that we're not cut off thanks to the blackout in the middle of a conversation.
So moved.
Rossi, there's a motion. It's been seconded by myself. A roll call for the motion to table the item to the Thursday agenda.
Councilmember Bredefeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Esparza,
Aye.
Councilmember Kabasi,
Aye.
Councilmember Soria, Councilmember Soria,
Yes.
thank you. Vice President Caprielio,
Yes.
President Arias.
Yes.
I want to thank my colleagues for making that adjustment on item D. Thank you.
Thanks
you,
for holding us
Councilmember.
accountable.
All right, council, this officially adjourns our meeting at 4:58, and we will reconvene at our next council meeting as scheduled. And then before we complete the meeting, I'd like to take it to my council colleague, Member Karbasi, who would like to say closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to respectfully request we adjourn the meeting in honor of Ray Robinson, who has passed away at 87 years old. He is the dear father of Yvonne Spence, our city clerk. If you would like to say some words about your dear father before we adjourn.
Ms.
Sure.
City Clerk, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, very sad to see my father go, but he was a great man. He is, he never meets a stranger. He always smiles, always happy, and he could strike up a conversation with anyone. And he often did it. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss him. Thank you.
It
so
reminds me of someone I know.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. City Clerk, and our condolences on behalf of the council and this for the year loss. And it's one more tragic loss this year. So thank you all and have a wonderful day. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Council President, I hope our meeting Thursday can go as quickly as this meeting went.
It won't.
If there's a blackout, it might just go as even much faster. It won't happen.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.